My name is Danielle Cole and I'm one of the trainers with Power Addicts out of Colorado Training Center for all snowboarders and skiers. Today we have Mr. Brandon Jackson here. He's going to be our demonstrator as we walk through a preseason snowboarding training program that can be done from home. Now, snowboarding requires flexibility, agility, strength, muscular endurance, and a lot of balance. In the preseason, before snow hits the ground, snowboarders come to Powder Addicts and practice their endurance training, their skills training, and their strengthening. Snowboarding takes a lot of flexibility, which is another factor that we focus on while they are training here. Today our demonstrator, Brandon, here is going to show us one of our training programs that we can do typically 2 to 3 times a week in the preseason. And of course our priority is safety first, so there will be a warm-up, followed by stretching for 5 to 10 minutes, the workout, and even more stretching at the end after the cool down, just to make sure none of our snowboarders are injured on the process. Brandon will demonstrate 10 different exercises that typically range from 12 to 20 repetitions for 3 sets. But since we're doing a demonstration right now, I'll only have him perform a few repetitions of each exercise for only 1 set. Now, our focus today is going to be core strength, leg strength, endurance, a little bit of flexibility when we perform our stretching, and all of this is going to be a little bit intense, so the cardio is going to be in there too. So, since every workout starts with a warm-up, we will start with having Brandon perform 20 free squats just to get the blood flowing, and followed by stretching once we're all warmed up. Brandon, if you would please, 20 free squats. There is no weight added to any of these exercises right now. Therefore, the stretching will be done a lot easier once his body's nice and warmed up. Since squats is going to be a big part of our workout today, that is why we did these right before stretching. Now, for the second part of the warm-up, we're going to get him to do 12 calf jumps just to get his legs warmed up even more. Now typically the warm-up will last a little bit longer, 2 to 3 sets at most, but to have this video nice and short, we're going to stop at 1. So once we've completed the warm-up, we are going to start some stretching. We will focus first on lower body extremities. So starting with the quadriceps, we are going to give each leg about 5 to 10 seconds of stretch. And then we are going to do a hamstring stretch. Not to pull tight enough. Make sure you feel a nice little stretch in the back of your legs there. You can't touch your toes, that's okay. Next we're going to do a calf stretch. We'll do a standing calf stretch first. We will do a seated calf stretch on the ground later. Switch. Good. Please get down on the ground. We are now going to do a groin stretch. And again, these stretches will typically be held for 5 to 10 seconds each till a nice stretch is complete. Next, we're going to transition from lower body stretching to upper body stretching. So if you would please, we're going to stretch the shoulders out. One arm across the other, nice pull. And switch. Again, these stretches will typically be held a little bit longer. All right, by now we should be all warmed up, so we're going to go ahead and proceed into our core strengthening exercises. And what we're going to have first is a plank circuit down on the ground. We would have him normally doing 12 repetitions, but we're only going to do a couple for demonstration. See how his back is nice and straight? The weight is supported over his shoulders, over his hands. Switch side and hold that. This works your balance, core strength, back down at the front, other side. balance and core, back to the front. That is 1 repetition. Please perform 2 more. Very good. It's okay if you fall. Balance comes with practice. But being able to support your weight on one arm and one leg does show some core strength and stability, which are very important to the snowboarder. Those would go for 12 repetitions. And again, this will be a total of 3 sets. We will do 2 exercises in a row and then repeat them for 2 more sets, but we're just going to move along today. So our next exercise is going to be the knee side roll. He's going to be down on his back with his knees bent in the air, like so. And this is going to work his trunk. He's going to rotate his knees to the right, back to the front, and down to the left, and back up. That is 1 repetition. He will perform that 12 different times. The trainer will not step on his hands. Make sure you're breathing. Core nice and tight. This is warming up his abdominals, his obliques. And once this is performed 12 different times, he's going to sit up into the position for a Russian twist. You may go ahead. Now the Russian twist, his feet are going to be off the ground. He's going to be leaning back slightly with his arms out in front. He's going to rotate all the way to the left and all the way to the right. Keeping it slow and controlled, his arms are not going to produce any momentum to get him to swing his body over for any other range of motion other than what his core can hold. Keeping his feet off the ground is going to show the core stability that he does have and the balance. All right, you may stop. We will repeat these core exercises for 12 reps each, 2 more sets. We're now going to move on to 2 different leg exercises. We would start with 20 jump squats. Snowboarders definitely need to have their knees bent in this crouched position and jumping whenever rough terrain impedes their direction. Focusing on dipping low. As snowboarders, their stance typically is in the crouched wall sit position. But snowboarders, to be able to have this kind of leg power, will ensure that they can change directions and avoid any rocks or trees or anything else they may encounter on the slopes. That will be performed for 20 repetitions for 3 sets. Of course, we will not have our demonstrator do that. Our next exercise will be the agility dots. And what we have here on the floor are 4 pieces of tape in the shape of a square. And what our demonstrator here is going to do is start at the one corner, jump across parallel the other side of the corner, and create an X shape as we're doing this. This is going to work his hand-foot coordination, which is very important for snowboarders to be able to see very quickly where they're going, what's in their path, and how to avoid it. Again, this builds leg strength and leg endurance, as well as agility and speed. All right. That will typically go as well for 20 repetitions for 3 sets. Once Brandon has completed 20 repetitions of the agility dots, he will then go back and do more of the jump squats, and this will repeat itself for, you're not going to do it, it's okay. It'll repeat itself for 3 full sets. Once we get those 2 exercises out of the way, we're going to switch muscle groups, and then we're going to go to upper body for right now to give those legs a break. So our first exercise is going to be the tricep dip. If you have a chair or any surface, we're going to use this here to perform tricep dips. He's going to be on the edge, his knuckles facing the direction his legs are facing, and he will dip down as low as comfortable, but not breaking parallel. He will perform this exercise 12 times. Once the 12 repetitions are completed of the tricep dip, he will move into push-ups, performing 20 push-ups. We are focusing on upper body because what most people don't consider is that snowboarders do use their upper body in order to get up in the event of a fall. So keeping his core nice and tight while performing these push-ups, he is working both his upper body and his core, which are very important for snowboarders. After he completes 20 push-ups, we will have him go back into another 12 dips, 20 push-ups again for another set after that. Once he's switched up a little and had that upper body nice and warm, we're going to go back to legs for another 4 exercises. The first one is going to be the single leg lateral hops. This is where he's going to stand on one leg, jumping from left to right as far as he can, increasing the leg power that he has. You may begin. 20 times. This will work on the leg power and the balance and coordination that a snowboarder must have. The focus here is 1, balance, and 2, get the largest distance possible. What snowboarders don't think is that they really do have to avoid and change direction at the last minute, so increasing agility is very important.
Always like weaker.
All right. Once 20 of those have been performed, you will now go into a half squat calf raise, which will have the demonstrator here in the squat position. Stand to the side so you may see. And what he's going to do is raise up onto his toes and back down onto his heels. Just like that. We are going to do that 20 times. This is a very important move for snowboarders on a decline when they must change directions or steer. Lifting their heels causes the board to tip forward, cutting into the snow so that they may turn their board in the direction they're choosing. This is going to build endurance in the legs as well as strength in the calves. Trust me, when you're not used to that exercise, it starts to burn really quickly, but you will need it when you're going down a slope. Next, we're going to do single leg front and back hops, which is just like lateral jumps, except we're going forward and backwards, which again will work leg strength, leg endurance, and balance. Using just the one leg does engage your core more than you think it does. Once you've completed 20 of these hops, you will switch legs and perform another 20 on the other leg. Balance is key for snowboarders, so this is a good preseason exercise to perform in order to make sure you have this balance needed when you're on the slope. Following these 20 each, we will do half squat toe raises, which are a lot like the half squat calf raises. Again, all of these exercises are done 20 repetitions for 3 sets.
Thank God it's only preseason.
This is another exercise to work leg endurance and to assist in the turning and steering while going down the slopes. Rocking back onto your heels does cause the board to cut into the snow in the back, steering your snowboard the direction you choose. Once we've completed 3 sets of both the half squat toe raises and the single front and back hops, we are going to move into 180-degree squat jumps. We will perform 3 sets of 20 of these, followed by some free squats for our cool down. Now the idea of a snowboarder performing 180-degree squat jumps is that from time to time the snowboarder tends to change direction while going down, changing which foot is in the front. And in order to do that, when the feet are bound to a single board, they must hop. So squat jumps increase the leg power and the leg strength in order to produce these hops. Come down lower. Very good. Now we're going to cool down with a few more free squats. No more jumping. but we cannot come to an abrupt stop. Very good. Focusing on coming down low. The crouch position is a very common position for snowboarders, so hip flexor and hamstring flexibility is very important. In order to increase these muscles' flexibility overall, free squats is an excellent exercise to perform. Very good. Once we've had a complete cool down, our demonstrator is going to need to take a nice stretch to make sure there's no cramping later. So we're going to go and repeat the stretches we did in the beginning. So we're going to start with the quad stretch. Very good. These exercises will be held, these stretches will be held for 5 to 10 seconds. And do a hamstring stretch. Stretching is very important so that the snowboarder does not lock up on the snow or get any cramps when they're in a position. The only way down is to snowboard down. Go ahead and do a calf stretch. Good. Other leg. Down on the floor for a groin stretch. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and get back up and do some shoulder stretching, some arm stretching. Now a lot of these exercises were done just to improve the muscular endurance that we have in the legs, hip flexors, calves, the glutes especially, as well as training the core strength for your balance. Some of the exercises, for example, the agility hops, were to maintain that eye-foot coordination that you will have when encountering rough terrain going down the slopes. And when we didn't neglect the upper body, that was so that whenever the snowboarder does fall, he will have the strength